with the, we're calling it lockdown and these curious times that we live in, because we're just having this chat. And I just think people are coming more and more to social media, and I know how much you love that, to be entertained. But what I'm seeing, Mark, is a lot of high-profile people in their kitchens, in their bedrooms, in their lounges, and people just being real. So I just thought, but just normally I've got this scripted introduction. Hey, be my guest. It's Mark Holden, and, entertainer extraordinaire and pop star from the 70s and 80s. And I'm not doing it very well either, am I? So, we'll just start the conversation by having a conversation.
Yes, and you're up in Queensland.
Yes.
You couldn't be in a better place right now. You're on an island in Queensland. How amazing.
I know. I'm totally blessed. I'm on a little tiny island just off the coast of Brisbane called Coochie-Mudlow Island. And it is I think it's got some high spiritual significance for the Quandamooka people, the Indigenous population up here. It's just got a beautiful, people come here to heal and stay.
Are there Indigenous people on the island still?
I actually don't think that there are. I haven't seen Indigenous like this in terms of the population. There's a mix of pretty much anyone who would live on the mainland. It's a smattering. There's only 700 people here, so it'll be tiny percentages. That definitely it's got down the front of the island. It's got red ochre, the rocks, which is you can go down and get your paint, red ochre paint, and
And
it's not about me.
Do you get to walk on the? Do you get to walk on the beach every day?
Yes, I do. And it's actually, there is no issues with social distancing here because it's so small. It's actually about 5 kilometres to walk right around the island. It takes about an hour.
That's perfect.
And it is so, they've closed to all the, the spots where you can go and have barbecues and eat and things like that. But you can still swim. And my daughter and my granddaughter were swimming yesterday.
And the water would be beautifully warm, I suspect.
Yes. So you're in Melbourne.
I wouldn't swim in Port Phillip Bay on a 110 degree day, because no matter how hot it is, the top part of you will be hot and the bottom part of you will be freezing. The water here is so bloody cold. It really is.
Is it?
Oh, it is. It's frigid.
Well, Mark, you're an Adelaide boy.
I am. It's about the same with Adelaide. Adelaide's cold as well. The water in Adelaide is cold as well. It's the Southern Ocean.
Yeah. Well, I was in Adelaide over Christmas, and how warm it gets. So it says 45 degrees, and you're in the water, and I'm in there for 15 minutes, and I start to feel like I'm going into hypothermia. So it's like.
Anyway, you're in the perfect. I reckon you're in the perfect spot. The only other spot that I think would be fantastic right now. I have a friend who lives in Darwin, and this is the perfect time of year up in the Territory. And so there's only a handful of cases, I think, up there of coronavirus cases. So so they're in gorgeous 30-degree days for the next 6 months. And they have a boat, and so they're kind of living on their boat, and drinking champagne and watching the sunset and sunrise.
Like, seriously, if you have to do it,
that's a good place to do it.
It's a good place to be. It really is. So I just think, while we are in lockdown, you said you were 10 houses from the beach. You were close to the beach.
To the bay.
To the bay, yeah. So in terms of, you're in Melbourne, and very, very chilly down there. So you said it was raining.
It's been raining and wet. It's been fabulous. I love the rain, and we have had a really good amount of rain down here just in the last couple of months. Today's going to be beautiful. It's going to be 22, 23 degrees. So about midday, I'll make my way into the backyard and set up my mat and do some stretching and do some weights and do the things that I've paid thousands of dollars to trainers teach me over the last 66 years.
Because that was my one of my questions was what do entertainers do to entertain themselves, and obviously so level of physical fitness is
Got to keep moving. We've got to keep moving.
yeah.
I love walking around my neighborhood. I live in Elwood, and it's just a beautiful part of the world, and I never get sick of walking around our neighborhood. So I'll listen to Rachel Maddow, who's on MSNBC in America. I listen to her podcast, and that's about 40 minutes, and so I do a 40-minute walk around the neighborhood, listen to the podcast, and then jump back into isolation. I'm really trying to. And I do have friends who are breaching the isolation, and I really think it's uncool.
Oh, really?
And I even have friends who've said, "Oh, come on, man, come over and have a meal with us, and you can we'll sit outside, and you can sit at one end of the table, and we'll sit." We've not. And I said, "Well, no, but that's not the point. The point is we're supposed to be taking this seriously." And I have two friends staying with us who got caught up here, got stranded here, and they're from Argentina, and it's just been very difficult for them to get back. And even though there's been all these flights coming from South America to Australia, even though we've communicated with their embassy and with our Foreign Affairs Department, for some reason the plane's going the other way, going from here back to there. They just haven't been able to pull that all together. But there is a flight for them apparently on May the 2nd. But, we hope that happens, and that, it has to go through Chile. And Chile is not, as I discovered from talking to them, is not on friendly terms with Argentina. And there are civil disturbances in Chile, and so they don't want to have to go into a lockdown if they only get as far as Chile. They don't want to be locked down in Chile. So it's a huge mess. Anyway, they're here, and the woman, she's 71, and the bloke's my age, he's 66, and I just don't want to risk. She has asthma, and I just don't want there to be any risk of any one of us get it. And so I'm even making my own coffee now instead of going. My favorite thing in life, that's our late dog Jazzy. That was Katie's Christmas present to us. She got our beautiful dog put on a cup.
Was that the cup that you did the tour of South Australia with the Rotary clubs? Was that the one that you brought with you?
No. That's Rocky. No, Jazzy's been dead.
Okay.
Jazzy's been dead for a while, but that was a lovely gift for Christmas from Katie. And of course, Katie was home for Christmas from LA. That's my daughter. She's 24, and then she came home because she changed jobs, and she came home right at the end of April. Right at the end of February or early March, and because she had 6 days off, and the flights were only $700 return to LA.
Yes.
So she jumped on a flight. She gloved up. She fully gloved up. She masked up, and she came home for 6 days, and then fully gloved up and masked up, and flew back right into the storm in America. My daughter she's my hero. I mean, we've tried to ask her if she wants to come home, but she's got a new job there. She's working remotely. She doesn't want to let down her boss who took her from the old job to the new job, and she's got a boyfriend there, and she doesn't want to let him down. But America's brutal, man. I mean, there's 17, 18 million people there who the only help they're getting is a $1,200 check from the government, which hasn't arrived. Because they're so incompetent with all their bureaucracies, and that's it. That's what they're getting.
Yeah.
So all these people who are losing their jobs there, they do get unemployment for a while, but it's not much. And then it stops, and they have no health care.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, the
Yeah.
America, the obscenity of America is, you know, I have an American wife and American daughter, but just watching how they deal with this. I know people like to criticize our government, but, you know, I think our government's done a really fantastic job so far, and we've got a long way to go. And I think our local government, I think in Adelaide, Premier Marshall's done a really good job. I know for sure Daniel Andrews here in Victoria is, you know, he was brilliant during the fires, and he's
because we've just it's been like a double whammy, really,
Daniel
hasn't it?
Andrews has been fantastic during this as well. I mean, he's a very happening young dude, as is Premier Marshall in South Australia, and it's we are very lucky that we have competent leaders in Australia. You know, we are.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I guess, and the systems as well. So regardless of what we think of the politics, and I choose to not engage with the politics, but I am grateful that they are looking after the masses as much as they possibly can.
They sure are, and they've done it in a they've done it in a timely fashion. I mean, I know it's going to probably be difficult for people to get through and all that, and that's going to take a while. But you know, this is an extraordinary moment that we're living through.
Well, it is, and it was as I don't think that like none of us would know someone who, like, we would all know someone who's been touched by this somewhere or another, apart from the being in lockdown. You know,
Yes.
Because just as my granddaughter lost her job, she worked in a cafe at St. Francis Gym where they've cancelled the winter season of basketball, and you know.
Yep.
Overnight, her job is gone. So,
Yep.
you know, I'm doing some looking at what I can do to employ my kids, like and the family to get them productive online, because it also offers a huge opportunity for people who are looking to be a bit what's the word? I guess be open to looking at different ways of doing things and different things.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. How you make money out of that is another issue, though.
Well,
I mean, I think we're certainly able to connect greatly. I mean, you know, obviously Amazon and places like that are just making trillions out of this. But how the ordinary person, or for example, a musician or a songwriter, actually receives any financial benefit from sharing. I mean, maybe they're creating good PR for themselves, but there's not really money online for us. You know, I mean, it's people aren't really willing to pay for it. The Spotify and Apple are the only thing, and that's such a minuscule amount of money for songwriters and creators in Australia. Even the successful ones.
Yeah.
I mean, you just look at Tina Arena. You know, the story, and I don't know whether you read that stories in the weekend's Mail, that she can't pay her mortgage. You know.
No, that's. I mean, there is.
So it's successful people and people who are just, you know, the guy that's playing the bass in her band. You know, the guy that's playing drums in her band is not making any money right now.
Yeah. And well, I work with a musical couple who are brilliant. They're Adelaide based. One's Irish and one's Scottish, the Borderers. Hi, shout out to Jim and Alex. And they are looking at, you know, their entire income, that 25 years of doing events. And, you know, it's just been completely stripped away.
Wiped out.
We're looking at
I've lost you there. I've lost your volume. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I've lost the sound.
Okay, let me see if I'll just double check to make sure that we've got.
I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can I
can't hear you.
All right.
Why? I haven't touched anything.
It's like no hands. I'll just double check that we've got audio. Bear with me one moment. You Okay. Maybe I can still hear you. Okay.
I can't hear you.
I know. Okay.
No, you've disappeared.
Okay.
I can see you, but I can't hear you. I haven't touched anything, so I don't want to touch anything.
Okay.
No touch.
Touch. Okay. So
I couldn't help myself. I just touched something. No, just touched the volume. Nothing there.
All right. Now I'm going to get you to refresh. Let's see if I can do that. Oh, I tell you what, this is great. This is great when it works. I love it when it works. Can somebody type in?
Are you saying goodbye?
No.
I think you're saying goodbye.
No. Stay. Mark, please refresh. Bear with me. Do you know what that means?
Mark, please refresh. How do I do that? How do I refresh?
Okay.
It says, Mark, please refresh.
Top.
Well, it's true. I haven't had a shower today yet, so I could go and have a quick shower.
Top left arrow on browser.
I don't know how I refresh.
Okay. So it's up there. Hang on.
Top left arrow on browser. Top left arrow on browser.
Click. Folks, this is what happens. This is what happens when, oh, can you hear the kookaburra? I love it. That's amazing. I don't know if you can hear the kookaburra. No, I forgot to tell Mark that he needs to actually click on the guest link again to come back in. So I'll just send him a message. And if we can't get him here, hello, Rebecca. How are you? And hi to Carolyn and Hakim. So if you do, let's just do this. So use the same link. Use the same link. See if that's coming up. To pop back. See if that works. Or he may have just decided that he's had enough. Okay. So, hey, we've got him back. 2, 1. There we go. So what I didn't do was I didn't do the troubleshooting with you, Mark. I didn't say anything happens. You just hit that little circle. You did
Which
that
little circle?
Yay. The one. Don't touch it now. You're back.
Anyway, I don't see a little circle. You mean the little orange one up on the left, or?
Yeah, there's a little half circle with an arrow.
Oh yeah, that thing. Yeah. Like a TV screen. It looks like a TV screen.
That's the little half circle with an arrow where it's got, I think it's got Be Live TV, but it's just next to it. It refreshes the browser.
Okay.
It's all good. So we do have a few people here that have popped in, and Carolyn's one of them. We've got Carolyn who said hi. We've got
Carolyn.
Sandra and her daughter Rebecca. I've just seen them on the other side. Hakim has said hi as well.
Hey guys, how you doing?
If you do want to ask Mark any questions, please do. We're just shooting the breeze, really, aren't we? Just having a chat. And anyone is welcome to join us, because it's really cool to be able to, just to connect like this and to connect with the
my friends, my Argentinian friends are Jewish, and they're on the Passover. They had 2 Zoom calls. One of them with 17 people. One person, some people were in New York, some people were in Argentina, some people were in Washington State, some people were in Israel, and some people were here in Melbourne. I mean, and it was clear as a bell, and it just, you could see all these 17 people up on the screen, and then when somebody speaks, that camera takes a bigger position in the thing. It's just,
Yep.
it's just absolutely extraordinary. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, and Zoom has, I think they've experienced something like a 7,000% increase in downloads.
Wow.
So it's definitely Zoom, and we're using a platform called Be Live TV, which lets us do all this, sort of stuff on screen together.
Yeah.
You can't do with just Facebook. But I've actually attended online Zumba classes through Zoom, and we have all our coaching through Zoom now, and it really is Zoom, and there's other platforms as well. But
Katie, my daughter's doing a yoga class in LA at 7:30 in the morning now, every second morning on Zoom or whatever, one of those things. And she's just, as I said, she's just started working for Disney, and they're doing all their meetings online, and so it's changing. This is you were sort of ahead of the curve, you'd have to say, Adaire. You were pushing this barrow for a number of years now, and sort of the world's kind of caught up with you in a way.
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate that it had to take this to make it happen, but what we're finding is that, before it was more and more people are connected, but less and less connecting and less engaged. And now with this, people are connecting and engaging. So we're more connected and we're more engaged with what's happening. And, so I've got a daughter in Perth, my son in Adelaide, another daughter who lives about 40 minutes away, and they've chosen to do the social distancing as well. A sad face. I'm just grateful to be here with my daughter and the three little ones.
In heaven.
Yeah, I am actually. I am. If you've got to be in lockdown somewhere, this is.
Yes.
I shouldn't tell anyone. It's like the world's best kept secret.
Well, they can't get there. They can't get there anyway. So.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, but we actually do. My daughter's a Zumba instructor, and we've done the Zumba via Zoom, and she's.
Are people paying her for it?
Well, no, she's not.
That's what I'm talking about.
But hang on. Hold the farm. There is her. Another girl that I follow quite, Olivia. Shout out to you, Olivia. Who it is her business. Now, my daughter has let her Zumba thing lapse, so she just did a little Zoom for me and my granddaughter in Adelaide, or her daughter, right. And so we just did this little.
But it's hard. It's hard for people to. I mean, there are some things like teaching English as a foreign language or something like that where these kind of things are great, but a lot of things like training, I don't know. I mean, I guess you can just find one online that you don't pay for. You know what I mean? Well, So if you want, but I've been working out all my life. You wouldn't be able to tell from the look of my body, but I do it. I've done it all my life because I want to keep my heart going, and I think it's good for your spirit and all of that. I don't really care about my body anymore, but I do care about my spirit, and I do care about my health.
Yeah.
And so I'm just calling on all those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lessons that I've had all my life, and using my own willpower to force myself to do it, right? Because the thing that I liked about working out with trainers was that it was an appointment. It was and I was paying for it, and so I would actually turn up.
Yeah, and it still is. It still is. So to have a bit of we do look, I've paid for comedy shows. I don't know if you've heard of JP Sears. He takes the absolute piss out of everything that's cosmic and woo woo, and he's probably the biggest woo woo. He calls himself woke AF. But he does comedy from his lounge.
Right.
He used to go out in the US, and he used to go and do comedy shows, stand-up comedy shows. And now he's got, you pay, it's like he's every Friday Night Live, he calls it Friday Night Live comedy, and you watch him, You pay just, it's $10 and you can reach masses of people.
I wonder if he.
And the way.
I wonder how much. I wonder how much he gets from one of those gigs.
Well, we're in a new world, Mark.
Yeah, because
you see,
there's so much. I mean, if you've got Foxtel or Netflix, there's endless comedy that you've already paid for, and it's the best. It's the best comedians in the world.
And the thing that we've got that they don't have, is the raw and the real and the live. I think is because watching Megan Trainor sit on her kitchen bench with a guitar,
yes, I'm enjoying
and sing.
That. Yes, I'm enjoying that.
Looking into someone's house, and it's doing live. They respond, they talk to you.
I like that.
Pink and Ellen, they had a conversation because Pink has just recovered from the virus. And she's sitting in, looked like his bedroom, her kids, Jameson's bedroom.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
We never got to see. We never got to see this before. We never got to feel like we could actually have a little bit of an insight into. So, and when people do this sort of stuff, it's like, and my friends, the Borderers, they're doing. There's things like Patreon. I don't know if you've heard of Patreon, so they can, people donate. They can do, with the right equipment, because none of the artists, how I've experienced, unless you've got your studio sitting out the back or downstairs or whatever, it's a level playing field.
No, I like absolutely that. I like that. I've seen a lot of people perform from home and just play with a guitar or a piano or something. No, I love that. And I tell you, I loved that Adaire Palmer thing on the weekend. I don't know whether you saw it, but if you haven't seen it, the folks who are watching, go to YouTube and look up Adaire Palmer. He did it's only about 22, 25 minutes, but it's him in a cathedral in Italy. I think it's in Italy. Yeah, it's in Italy. It's in Milan, and just singing with an organ, and it's absolutely. He did it for Easter Sunday. It's sublime. It's absolutely sublime. Anyway, and I think he donated that. I think he. I don't think he got I don't think he got paid for that.
Yeah. So I think we're moving to a new way of doing things, a new way of like you're saying about monetizing. We're in a whole state of flux at the moment, and I think that what's going to come out of this is going to be opportunities that we never saw before.
I hope so. I think we're certainly changing. I think one of the opportunities, and again, I've been knocking America, but just that there are all these people in America, 17, 18 million people in America are losing their jobs and have no health insurance.
No.
At a time when there's illness everywhere.
Yeah.
And just the profound stupidity of that place, that there's even a question mark that that there could be even a question mark about what we take for granted in Australia, and that is that if you go to hospital here in a crisis, they're not going to ask you to pay. They're not. You can go to. I've been to the Prince Alfred many times, the emergency, because of these horrible kidney stone things I get, and they're absolutely brilliant. They're just incredible, and you walk out of them, you don't pay. Now in America, that would be a many $1,000 experience.
Yeah,
and people who have just lost their jobs, and my daughter's boyfriend's sister is in Louisiana. She's lost her job and she's ill.
Yeah,
she's lost her job and she's ill. So now she has no health insurance.
Yeah.
At a time when she needs it the most.
And
yet it's still a question mark in America. And yet they still are saying, well, no, we can't afford to. What the bloody hell? It's just terribly frustrating. And I'm so interested in, obviously, because I've got an American wife and an American daughter.
Yeah, and I think just on highlighting that too, I think if we decide that we've got to, got things to complain about, then just shut up, basically.
Yes, indeed. But what is truly scary is that as together as Australia is, think about India, Indonesia, Africa, Pakistan,
Yeah.
Where I think we've got a long way to go on this yet, and we are going to have to be island Australia for a while. And you know, my daughter and I were talking yesterday or the day before that you know, there's going to be no, after the end of this month, there's going to be no flights to America, and that she's not going to be able to even come and visit us, and we're not going to be able to come and visit her. And essentially she's stuck. And you know, and that's why I was saying to her, you know, do you really think you can't do that job remotely from Australia? And you know, but it would mean being up at, you know, 1 a.m, and you know, but I said, you know, nurses do that. Nurses work at 1 a.m. You know, there's all kinds of people who work at 1 a.m. You know, I mean, it's anyway, it's just you know, a father and mother being worried about their daughter, but she's a, you know, she's a trooper, and she's like, I love her so much, I admire her so much. She's an absolutely incredible young person, and she's going to fight it out, and she's as careful as can be. And they clean down the vegetables, they clean down the food packets. I mean, they're because, you know, it's a city of 20 million plus people, so. But I'd have to say, fortunately,
isn't she?
She's in LA, but California has a really good governor, a guy called Gavin Newsom, and he's doing a really good job. And the mayor of LA is doing a good job too. So it's like a kind of like a country within America, California. And thankfully, there are good people, you know, involved in California. So, you know, she's going to ride it out, but it's going to go for a long time. This is not something that's going to end next week or next month.
No. And I think it's up to all of us, or to each individual person, to keep ourselves as healthy and happy as we possibly can, because I think, you know, it's and there is a lot of memes floating around the internet, and some of them are a bit sad but true. Some of them are hilarious. There was a group that has gone from 0 to about 150,000 in this is on Facebook in a matter of a couple of weeks, where people were actually putting videos of themselves taking the bin out.
Yes, I've seen that. Yeah,
the bin goes out more than they do.
That's great.
But this is, you know, I'm going only in Australia.
Oh, look,
actually, the Kiwis would have thought up something like that. But you know,
what we've done, which may or may not be strictly legal, is that there's 4 of us in the house, and we've all been together for 6 weeks. So we're all, you know, we've been locked in the same house for 6 weeks. So we're essentially a little family, and we've got these Nacho Libre masks that, you know, like the fighters in Mexico wear, the ones that come over your face, and they're all bright colors and all that. So we've got these 4 masks, and our friend just around the corner, only 200 yards away, was having his birthday. So we drove the car around in our Nacho Libre masks and wrote on the roof "Happy Birthday" to him, and stuck our heads out the window in our Nacho Libre masks. And as we were doing it, a cop car came right past us, and we waved. We waved at the cop car, and the cops waved at us, and you know, and we sang "Happy Birthday" to him. He's on the 2nd floor, so him and his wife came out, and we sang "Happy Birthday" to him and tooted the horn, and then went back home. But that's what we've done, which was a little bit of fun. But strictly speaking, I don't think you're supposed to be out like that in a car when it's not for an essential purpose. But anyway, we did it. We did. Brought him a lot of joy, and gave us a good big laugh. And we didn't put anyone in danger. It was just the 4 of us in the car.
Yeah. Well, I think that's actually, you know, it's quite unique and a bit. You know,
we got the idea from a girl down the street who had her 18th birthday, and instead of having an 18th birthday party, all these cars, probably about 20 cars of her friends, lined up, and drove past her house with their windows down, tooting and wishing her a happy birthday, and yeah, and then so that's that. I don't know whether that's legal, but that's where we got the idea. We thought that's a fantastic idea. You don't leave the car. She doesn't leave the house, but everybody can express their love for her in that moment, that's where we got the idea.
Yeah, and we've had birthday parties by Zoom, but I think there might be levels of it's not like you're all going to the house and having the party and just flouting everything.
No,
it's sort of and I think, given the circumstances, is it breaking the rules? Or
it probably is. But anyway, the cops went right past us, and
if you're doing it,
and they obviously didn't think it was anything to be concerned about, because we were being gooses and sticking it out of the car, and there was 4 of us, and we had the Nacho Libre masks on. I mean, it looked like we could have been going to rob a bank or something or other.
That's the image that flashed.
That's what it looked like. And we must have looked like a group of masked marauders, but we believe me, we couldn't rob anything. The 4 of us, we'd be the gang that can't shoot straight.
Oh, you could turn that into a comedy act, couldn't you?
Yeah.
We actually, the Adelaide Fringe was very lucky. They just sort of slid in.
Wow, did we ever? But you know what? That was even that night. What you're referring to is my brother and I did a gig at the Fringe, which Adaire came to. Good on you. Thank you for doing that. But but it was already bothering me then that everybody wanted to hug and touch, and in fact that was I was saying, no, let's do the Corona handshake, and which is the elbow, and people didn't really want to do it at that point, and I was already hyper aware of it, I guess. But that really was, and then of course the next weekend I went to WOMAD, and there was I didn't see a mask, I didn't see anything, and I was there. I mean, I was part of it, and so that was, I guess, the last couple of seconds before the curtain came down. Well, you're saying being hyper aware of it. You were with you've been in communication with your daughter. You've seen that up front, personal. But people who haven't seen that, they don't, it seemed, and even to me, because we did the comedy show. I don't know if you remember when I was saying that we had the comedy performance. I was going to say nobody died, but that's probably not the right time. I think it's too quick for that joke.
We're actually it went really well. We realised that what we lacked in talent, we actually had, because this is what I do, is actually got a fairly good network of friends and people who are supporting myself doing the other stuff online that I do. So they all turned up, and I think we at least half filled the room with people that we didn't have to pay them to come along, but they actually paid to come along. Yeah. So we didn't really. No, actually, it did. It went really well, and we are actually now planning an online one for My Time TV, which is we're a bunch of wannabe stand-up comedians are doing sit-down comedy now. So we're we're looking at how we bring that online, which is the creative juices just go go crazy. But the day after that, which would have been the 15th of March, my family, my extended family on my mum's side, had a family gathering for my mum's 80th birthday, and also for a book launch. So her and 2 of her siblings wrote a book about the life of their mother, my grandmother, growing up in the mid-north of South Australia. And it was an amazing book that they'd been working on for about 7 years. And that was interesting. You say that that there was no mask, there was no real anyone. There were people we just felt so removed from it, even though we were doing. So when I was my choice, and I think not realising the severity of it at the time, was saying, Are you doing the? No, I'd ask people, do you want to do the corona greeting, or we're doing this or we're doing this, and it's probably about maybe a third were doing the elbow greeting and the rest are doing the hugs. And interesting, one of my aunties, I won't say which one, she'd say, "Oh, I'm doing a hug. I'm from the country. We're not going to get it up there." And I'm going, "But I said it." Interesting.
And in fact, it's not true because that whole situation in the Barossa where the tourists had brought it into the Barossa and infected a number of people. So that's actually not true. It's really not true.
Well,
and that was all about combined ignorance.
Well, it's you go, well, if I knew then what I know now, but I think we dodged a bullet. I think we were very lucky that
and the 80-year-old was the one that seriously dodged the bullet.
Well, when they actually launched the book, because it was held in the hometown, the event was held in Saddleworth. I don't know if you've heard of Saddleworth. It was my hometown, tiny little place, about half hour from Clare, about half hour south.
Well, that's where the outbreak is.
Well, we gathered there on the 15th, and because the book referenced locals as well, and the local population. Like a lot of the people who came in for the book launch, there was probably about 100 people there. All of them would have been over 50, 60, 70, and in their 80s, because they grew up with my mum.
Yeah.
They came into,
so that was a very dangerous moment that, fortunately,
and nobody knew it.
No, that was a life-threatening moment. Well, this thing in Tasmania that's happening right now is because the workers apparently had a party, and 25 health workers had a party, and from one of the people that came from the Ruby Princess was in the hospital, and it's just people being slack and lazy and thinking I'm fine. I can do what I like.
Yeah, I don't think back, like at that in mid-March, and we've only come a month since then. But the severity of it.
Yes, we've all learned a lot since then. But some people haven't learned a lot, and some people still think that they don't need to do it.
Oh.
No, well, and that they can go and visit their mum and dad or their friends or whatever, and anyway. Look, that's life. But thankfully, most of us are.
Yeah. So I think that's it's definitely helping. And I think the other thing that we need to be mindful of is, when the health authorities are saying it's sort of like the curve's flattening a little bit, but it's still
we've got a long way. Yes, we've got a long way.
Yeah. Because I think we can become complacent all too easily. But what I'd like to say is, for people, if you are feeling like isolated, and if you are feeling, there's been, we as a family, we get on really well together. There's 3 adults and 3 kids in this house, and I'm really lucky to have my own space downstairs. But I can imagine, having, if you're in a household with people that you don't particularly like.
Yes. Well, my wife and I have lived in the same house together where I work from home for 35 years. So it's just another day in the life for us. It's just having these 2 other adult people in the place, and they're lovely. So we ultimately just go to our corners during the day, and in the evening get together and have a dinner party.
Yeah. What a great thing to do, have a dinner party. But actually, yeah. So I think that is, it is, if you are feeling, if you've got any advice for people who are, maybe feeling a bit claustrophobic or wanting
you can go for a walk. I mean, you're allowed to go for a walk, and that's a fantastic thing to do. But there are a lot of people who are not. I mean, I notice it because I do walk 2 or 3 times a week at least, and there are still people who are not social distancing, and you see all the young joggers, and the young joggers are going, and they're running straight by you. I mean, no, I don't want your phlegm and spit in my direction. So people are still cavalier about it, And
Mm.
so it's up to those of us who are not cavalier about it and who are at risk, particularly us older folk, to, if I see a jogger coming at me, I don't assume that they're going to have any brains, and I do a wide berth. I do a
Yeah.
wide berth. I do a wide
Yeah.
berth.
No,
And as far as connectivity, yeah, I mean, the ones that I feel sorry for the most are people who are actually on their own.
yes.
Who probably enjoy being on their own, but they don't enjoy being on their own all the time.
Well, I know my son, my 18-year-old son, who really loves your mullet. We're back in the so I think he was wise to have one of those. but he had hair envy. I think he's growing his own. But he would spend a lot of time. He's in Adelaide with his dad, but he would spend a lot of time in his bedroom on the guitar, or live streaming to YouTube. And he would just amuse himself when, now he can't go out. It's like, Mom, I'm bored. I'm going, what the actual is wrong with you?
Yeah.
You have full permission to do what you've always done.
Yes. Anyway, that's sort of my life now. But I do miss my going down to the coffee shop and seeing my coffee shop people that I always have a little chat to and talk about the footy. But my daughter and I, she's been in Los Angeles for over 5 years now, and so we normally what would happen is that when she's driving home of an evening, she'll do FaceTime with me, and so I'll get a half an hour with her 2 or 3 times, or maybe a couple of times a week. And now that she's working from home, she doesn't have that half-hour drive, so it's harder to get her time. And my son has moved from Adelaide to Melbourne, and just in time for us to be unable to go and see each other, But we communicate by text mainly. I mean, him being a boy. With Katie, it's endless. We're happy to have just talk about nothing, and like we're now, and we're happy to do that. But with him, it's not as easy. Could you just let me see who this is?
Is that my daughter or my son?
No, it's not somebody that I need to talk to. It's one of those numbers that I think is going to be a energy supply company asking if I'm happy with my energy.
Okay, well, I've been looking for one from Telstra saying, "Are you happy with your data?" I think I've already crunched out 85 gig of data, and I've just upgraded my plan to 150. We've got the Wi-Fi upstairs. I should just get one of those repeater things that lets me live stream without having to tap into the phone hotspot. But yeah, so Mark, I think that I just perhaps wind it up here. But if you did, going for a walk, we just say going for a walk, connecting with your
family and friends, going for a walk. Personally, I'm writing a bit at the moment, just writing for an hour or two every day. Not every day, but 5 days a week. That's joyful. It's to be honest, Adaire, for me, this is not a great change because I've been socially distancing for about the last 2 or 3 years, and I've sort of pulled my head in, and like I've told you before, I don't do social media anymore. I'm just going into my own little elderly shell, but it's not it's a nice place to be. I like that place. I like just because it's just my wife and me just bouncing around the house as we've done for 40 years. And so life is, I can only say life is pretty good, but none of us are going to get out of this untouched because we're all going to get some sort of hit from this. Because I mean, for example, my royalties are dropping because there's no, you get APRA, the Performing Rights Society, gets paid by coffee shops and restaurants and live performances, and of course those are non-existent anymore. So those royalties, poof, they're gone and they'll disappear and they'll never ever come back. And so there's versions of that people are having all across their lives. So each one of us is going to take a financial hit, and that's the actual truth of the matter. And then we're going to have to somehow or other pay for all this money that the government's spending, and so we're going to take a financial hit from that at some point. But God bless Australia. We are the luckiest bloody country in the world. Us and New Zealand, we are so lucky. Being islands.
No, I'd have to agree with you there. No, I absolutely have to agree with you there. I just had a random thought about your son. You were saying before about texting your son.
Yes.
I've got, I think I may have got the answer. If your son has a girlfriend or a partner,
he does.
If you do a group chat on Messenger with them,
yes,
and then send them a message to them all, because if I don't hear from him, she will invariably answer. So.
Well, she'll be there with him because she's in lockdown with him. So
yeah, she is.
You can't escape
that. She is. That's right.
Good advice. Very good advice.
So if you want to, I usually find
that's a good idea.
The female.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So even doing the Messenger's great because I just hit FaceTime and we just do FaceTime and if he won't answer, she'll answer and they're always together. So
excellent. Good thinking, 99. Yeah.
Well, Mark, thank you so much
for
joining me.
Stay safe and stay safe, everybody out there. And let's. When I was younger, I found rules to be a burden. As I get older, I find rules to be a comfort.
yeah. They can actually be liberating too in the long run, can't they? I always say you don't break the rules. You don't break the rules, you break yourself against them.
Yes, good on you. Thanks, Adaire. All the best.
Thanks, Mark.
See ya.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.